Hello children, how are you? Hope good. This is Shahab Khan and back with my new video on my YouTube channel Urbane Learning Way. Thanks for watching my previous videos in such good numbers and posting such good comments. That is really encouraging. I appreciate the comments which have got some good sense of humor, but there are some comments which they are laden with, they are soaked in and they are embroiled in with great sense of hammer. Hammer. Great sense of hammer. Great sense of hammer. That really shakes me like anything. I don't know what to do. But continue posting comments. Okay, today we are going to do scene 2, Act 5 of Julius Caesar. And this scene is very short, the shortest in the whole play, whole drama. The scene is so short, there are only 6 lines in it that some of the students might tend to overlook the significance of this scene. But I tell you, please don't do that. Okay, this is very significant. Okay, what do we have in this scene? We see in this scene Brutus committing a tactical blunder. Okay, tactical blunder. Tactical blunder. When the battle lines were drawn, by that I mean, when finally the forces were on ground to fight it out, the formation of the different units of the army was something like this. You had this Brutus's army, Brutus's wing of the army on this side taking on Octavius's wing, Octavius's legion, okay, and then you had Cassius's unit taking on Antony's unit, Antony's legion. Okay. It was this kind of a formation in the battleground. Okay. And here Brutus sees a perceptible weakness in Octavius's wing of the army. And what that weakness was? He found that the Octavius's wing of the army was a bit lacking in enthusiasm. Octavius's wing was a bit lacking in enthusiasm. It appeared as if they were war weary, a bit lacking in enthusiasm. They were unspirited. So what happens? Brutus in this sees an opportunity. Brutus senses an opportunity, that there is an opportunity. And what that opportunity was? He thinks on the lines that if Brutus's and Cassius's wing were to combine together and fight out this unit of the army, they would be able to overcome this Octavius's unit very easily. And then after having done that, together the combined force can take on Antony's wing of the army, and that way they would be successful in this battle. But what happened? This was a strategical error. Okay, strategical error on part of Brutus. Accordingly, thinking on these lines, Brutus sends a written message to Cassius. Sends a written message to Cassius through Messala. Written message to Cassius through Messala. So how it turned out to be a strategical error, how it was a tactical blunder. See, the army of Brutus. This is the army of Brutus, okay, and this is the wing of Octavius. This is the Octavius's wing, okay. Octavius, Brutus. Okay. This is Cassius, and this is Cassius's wing. And this is Antony's wing. Okay. What would have happened? This should have moved straight, like this should have moved straight. This should have moved in this direction. Okay. When Brutus sent this message, the whole army of Cassius got confused, and Along with the confusion, they had to change their direction also. Now, instead of moving in straight direction, they had to move in this direction to fight the wings of fight the legion of Octavius. So what happened? This allowed Antony's wing to, surround it, and that is how the battle was lost. So this was a very great grave error on part of Brutus to commit. And let's read the lines, and then we'll discuss more of it. Brutus, ride, Masala, ride and give these bills unto the legions on the other side. Sounds of battle. Let them set at once, for I perceive but cold demeanor in Octavius's wing, and sudden push gives them the overthrow. Ride, Masala, let them all come down. Brutus gives a written order to Cassius's unit to attack, to join Brutus's force in fighting the unit of Octavius, and it gave an opportunity for Antony's wing to counter attack, we can say, and surround it from other sides, from all sides, we can say, and overcome it. And whatever advantage that Brutus had got through Octavius was undone by this error. Okay, what he should have done actually, he should have finished the battle with Octavius on his own, and then maybe he should have joined forces of Cassius to take on Antony's wing, and they might have been successful. But that is just a speculation. So these written messages were delivered to Cassius, and this changed the whole way the war was being fought. Okay, I told you in the beginning of the video that this is very significant. And how it is significant, I'll tell you now. Okay, see, what do we see here? We see here Brutus committing a strategic blunder, committing a tactical blunder, strategic error, which put paid to all their hopes of winning the war, which made them lose the war. This made them lose the war. This made them lose the war. This made them lose the war. Lose the war. See, Brutus was not committing this error for the first time. Brutus was not committing this kind of error for the first time. See, he had other negative traits also, like he was easy on ears. He could be misguided. He could be easily instigated. These were the drawbacks that we have seen, we have studied, and because of which he committed to being part of the conspirators to kill Caesar. And then he was another negative trait was that he was not a true friend also. These were the flaws in his character. Okay, and these are for those who are critics of Brutus. Okay, but this was the biggest flaw in Brutus, which led to his downfall. Whether it was his biggest flaw or not, that is another thing. But this was the biggest flaw because of which he, fell from a very high pedestal to a person who had to run away from his place. He had to fight his own army, like army of his own country, like those kind of things. Okay, and here we see him committing this blunder, and this was not the first time that he was doing it. Earlier, when he had done it, when Brutus allowed Antony not to be killed, along with Caesar. He killed with Caesar. Okay, if he had done that, okay, end of the story, he would have been living happily ever after, maybe. Okay, then after that, what he did, he allowed Antony to speak at Caesar's funeral. And this turned the game on its head. Okay, if he had not done this, what would have happened? It was all Brutus and Cassius all the way. It was Brutus and Cassius who would have been laughing all the way. The third error that Brutus committed was the error that he committed in the battlefield, and that proved to be fatal. Okay, so for all his nobleness, righteousness, virtuousness, For all his qualities of nobleness, righteousness, virtuousness, Brutus was not a shrewd mind. Brutus was not a Brutus was not a shrewd mind. Shrewd mind. And being shrewd is not such a good quality, but when you are in politics, at times you need to be a shrewd tactician. Okay, and because he was not a shrewd tactician, that led to his downfall. He was not a shrewd tactician. He did not have a shrewd mind. He was not a shrewd tactician. Okay, he thought plainly. Okay, he thought plainly. He thought plainly. And most importantly, Brutus was not a he was not a great tactician. Not a great tactician. You see it throughout the play. In every act, in all the acts we see, it is not being a great tactician. See, out of desperation arises false hopes, and that can lead to rash behavior, as we see in the case of Brutus. Okay, see, it was a desperate situation for him. He had lost everything that he had put at stake. There was nothing left for him. What he was fighting for? He was fighting for only for his dignity. Okay, he was fighting for his dignity, and it was a desperate situation for him. And out of desperation, he committed a fatal mistake. Okay, that fatal mistake led to with them losing the battle and ultimately killing themselves. Okay, there's another way from which another angle from which we can look at this scene. Okay, this was a tool for Shakespeare. We can see this scene as a tool for Shakespeare. Tool for Shakespeare. Tool for Shakespeare. See, in a movie, if a war has to be depicted, it can, war scenes can be depicted on the screen, but not on a stage. It's difficult to bring the whole armies together on a stage and in a theater when play is going on. So, to give the impression of a war being fought, such scenes had to be brought in, and Shakespeare uses this scene to give the impression of a war being fought, to engage with the audience, to connect with the audience that actually a war was being fought. Obviously, he could not have brought thousands and thousands of soldiers on the stage, and they could have depicted the act. Okay, so it was a tool for him. So that, but for us ICSE 10th students, what is most important here is that it was Brutus committing and committing a final mistake. He had been committing mistakes, and he commits a final mistake, which closes the chapter. Which closes the chapter on whatever they had strived to achieve, and closes the chapters on their lives as well, on Brutus's and Cassius' lives. So that ends scene 2, Act 5 of Julius Caesar. I hope you would have understood well. If there are any doubts regarding this session, regarding the scene, you can post it in the comment section. Thanks for watching my video. Keep liking it, keep subscribing to it, and it's bye for now. Thank you very much.